Hello, welcome to our new wiring project. This video is for the outlet, the switch, and we're going to do a light as well. We're going to start with the outlet and switch for this video. Hopefully by now you have your board with your electrical boxes attached. We're going to start with the outlet. Remember, on the outlet we have our different connection points. We have our gold screws we're going to use, is what we're going to use for our hot wire, which is our black wires. It does say hot wire on the back of the outlet. On the other side we have the silver screws. Those are our connection points for our neutral wire. On the back it does say white wire. Remember, the white wire is the neutral, and then our green screw is our ground screw. So before we connect anything, we're going to get 3 pieces of cable. Remember, inside the cable there's our 3 wires: our hot wire, which is our black wire; our white wire, which is our neutral; and our ground wire, which is the bare copper. Okay, this is 14-2. You'll often see this in your home for most of your circuits, depending on how many amps the circuit is. Alright, so if you have your cable and haven't done anything to it, we want to strip the outer insulation off. So you're going to need a knife for that. You're going to cut down the middle of the insulation so you can peel it back. That's just that outer insulation. You want about 6 inches of wire showing. Okay, that's going to make it easier. We can spread it out, and it's going to make it easier to connect when you are putting it onto the fixtures. So I'm just going to cut off that excess insulation. So I just cut this stuff away. I don't need that. That paper that's surrounding the ground wire, which is our bare copper wire, that we're going to take off. So you should have all 3 wires sticking out. Now you want to do this to both ends on all of your cables. Okay? Remember, you want to leave about 6 inches of wire showing, because it's going to make it easier for you when you're trying to maneuver things around the outlet and the switch and things like that. So I have 1 done. Remember, your leftover stuff goes in the garbage. Alright, I got 2 ready to go. I'm going to do the 3rd one right now, just so we have it ready. We're only going to need the first 2 cables for the outlet. Now, why do we need 2 cables going to the outlet? We need 1 cable bringing in power, the other one bringing out power going to the switch. And then that one that's going out of the outlet to the switch brings the power to the switch. Then we're going to need this 3rd cable to go from the switch to the light. So now I have all that set. That's just, remember, taking that outer insulation off to expose the individual wires on the inside. We're going to leave about 6 inches of wire so we have plenty to work with when we're attaching everything. Now that we have that, we have to strip the insulation. So the black and the white wire have insulation covering the copper. All right. That's to protect them when they're all together so they don't short circuit. So we're going to have to take off some of that insulation on all of the black and white wires. I'd say about the width of your finger is what you want to do. On these wire strippers, these have preset notches so you don't have to worry about cutting through the cable. There's numbers on the left-hand side. On your left, should say solid gauge AWG solid, that's American Wire Gauge solid, and it has these numbers. We're using 14 gauge wire, so you want to line it up with the 14. I don't know if we can see that on there, but there's a 14. You're going to put the 14 in the slot. Remember, you only want about your finger width. Put it in the 14, squeeze, and then you should be able to get, you can see the end of that white wire now is stripped. You got the bare copper showing so you can make your connections. We can't connect to the insulation, it won't work. So you're going to do the same thing. Here's the black wire. And you want to do that to all of your black and white wires. You want to strip away the insulation because we need to make those connections. So remember using your 14 on the solid side because this is solid wire. About the width of your finger, maybe even a little less. All right, there we go. So I have all mine. All black and white wires are stripped. You don't have to strip bare copper because there's no insulation. All right, now what we're going to work on is we want to make the connections. Luckily, we can do the switch. We don't have to have it in the box. We don't have to have the wires in the box set. We have our switch, our outlet. Gold is the hot wires, right? Hot wire is the black wire. Silver is the neutral, the white wire. It also says that on the back of the outlet. And the green is your ground. So what you can do to make it a little easier on yourself is before you do anything, you can take the end of your wire stripper. It's got that plier part, it looks like pliers, and you can make the hooks that are going to hook around the screws. So for this, you want to do it with the neutral and the hot wire. But the ground wire, we're going to have to do something a little different to make the connection. So we're going to do that on all of our, one side on one of the cables. You want those hooks. And we're going to do on the other cable, same thing on one side for now. That's all we're going to do for now for the outlet. Alright, so I have two cables, just the hooks on one side. If I flip it over, I don't have the hooks on the other side yet. We're going to worry about that later. So just like this. Now what I'm going to do first, I'll take one of my cables. I want to hook it around. Remember the black is the hot wire. That's going to our gold screw. So I like to hook it around so that the hook is going around clockwise, because when we tighten the screw, we tighten it clockwise. That's righty-tighty. So now I'm going to tighten that screw down with the screwdriver. There it is. All right, so now I'm just going to tighten it down. So I've connected our black wire on that side. Now I'm going to take my neutral wire on the other. This black wire's on the bottom, so I'm going to connect this neutral wire to the bottom silver screw. So now we have white's connected to silver, that's our neutral connection. Black's connected to gold, that's our hot connection. And we still have our ground out here. I'll show you what to do to that later. Now we're going to connect the other cable, we're going to connect the other hot wire and the other neutral to the screws. So those are connected. All right. Now what we should do, so we don't want to put both of these ground wires to this one screw. We're going to have to tie them together. Now we're going to have to use, what we should use is what's called a pigtail. So we need another piece of bare copper. I'm just going to take one off my other cable for now. So I have an extra piece of bare copper wire. We're going to have to twist these, so I'm going to twist the two together that I have. So I twisted them together. Now I'm going to take this third one and I'm going to wrap it around those. You can use a pair of pliers to help you, it might make it a bit easier. And then see how my ends are a little frayed, I don't want that. I usually just take this on the end and I cut off that frayed part, it almost fell. And there you have that. Now what you're going to take is a wire nut, which I dropped on the ground, so I'm going to get that. Alright, so I have my two from the cables, I have my extra one for the pigtail, and I'm going to put this wire nut, this yellow wire nut on top. That's just going to help hold them all together. Now I'm going to make a hook on the end of that extra wire, and that's what I'm going to put around my green screw. And I am going to tighten it down. So now I got that third one going right to the green screw, okay? So now, since we have this together, we do have to put it through the box. Typically the wires would be sticking out of the box and we'd be working right in front of the box. We have a little bit of an advantage because we're not working in an actual house. So the back of the box, you might have these tabs. Some of them, if they're older ones, might already be taken out. The tabs come out very easily. You can bend them to the side and pull them out with pliers. Okay, so we're going to take the cable. So we're going to do the body. You should have three boxes. The bottom one, the bottom rectangle one, is going to be your outlet. So I want my outlet facing up. That means the grease screw is down towards the bottom. I'm going to put the wires through. Again, this is not typically, if you're in a house, this isn't going to be run like this. The wires would already be set into the box from the back and stapled to the studs. Now we have all this extra cable, these wires, you gotta tuck them in. The big thing is you don't want this ground wire touching any of your other connection points. You want to put it in there so it will not touch the hot, especially the hot. You don't want to have a short or the neutral, okay? So as long as that ground wire isn't touching anything else, then you can tighten down those screws on the outside of the box. There is a bit flatheads work well with this. Also a square tip #1 works well. Sometimes the Phillips will slip out of the screw. We're going to tighten those down all the way. Okay, so I have my outlet ready to go. And I'm going to take that cable that's coming out of the top of the outlet, that's got to feed the switch. So we are going to send that through the back of the cable and pull it out so then we can work on the switch. Okay? I'll do another video for the switch itself.